I have learnt the hard way just how important planning is. And this includes, or perhaps especially includes, practice plans. And I know that creating a practice plan, a good practice plan, can feel really overwhelming and confusing. And so very often we just don't create one and just launch straight into our practicing. But then you end up wasting time, you end up not knowing what you're doing, you end up getting frustrated, and then you kind of end up just giving up. Practice plans help keep us on track. They make sure that we stay focused and that we have a clear idea of what we want to achieve. So today we're going to spend some time helping you develop a good practice plan. Keep watching this video because we have some really great resources for you that will not only help you to create a better practice plan, but will actually just help you have more fun in your practice as well. Okay, back to our practice plans. So I like to think of practice being made up of blocks of content that we should include in our practice day, a little bit like a balanced, healthy diet. And these components of your healthy practice diet are having a good warm-up, practicing your scales and arpeggios, practicing technique or technical exercises, doing those nice long tones, having at least one study a week that you're working on, and your pieces or whatever repertoire you're busy with. I also like to have a little extra block there, which is my kind of problem corner or play corner, which I kind of like to lob on at the end of my practice day, giving myself a little bit of space to maybe play with something or fight through a specific technical issue that I'm having. Now, a really good balanced practice plan is going to have a little bit of all of these blocks in it every day. So for example, your practice plan might look like this. You start off with a nice physical warm-up, just getting your body nice and ready for your practice day. You then play F major and the arpeggio, because perhaps that week you decide to focus on that scale. Next, you might want to spend some time playing an exercise such as the Tafel and Gorbet exercise or a Reichert exercise. Then you might want to spend your 5 minutes of doing lovely long tones. You'll choose a study to work on for that week, so you'll work on a specific study every day, little chunks at a time. And of course, spend time learning either new pieces or working on existing pieces of music that you have. We've actually created a practice template with all these different blocks of practice for you already pre-filled. All you have to do is print out the template and go and fill in all the details of what you're busy working on. If you sign up for our mailing list, we will send you this template for free, and we will pop some other lovely inspiration into your inbox as well. Okay, so that plan sounds simple enough, I think, but it does get a little more complicated than that, because the next question you probably have is, well, how much time should I be dedicating to all of these different sections? Like, that sounds like a lot of different sections. How on earth am I going to get all of that into my practice day every day? And to answer that question, I first want to run through why all of these different sections are so important, what their functions are, so that you can start making smart, informed decisions based on your own personal goals. Your warm-ups are kind of a little bit of a non-negotiable. Like, I really recommend that you do some kind of warming up. Physical warm-ups are a really, really, really smart and recommended thing to do, but certainly you want to just play some nice slow scales or some long tones or something just to get your body going, get your air going, and get your instrument nicely warmed up. This is the most non-judgmental part of your practicing. It's a space where you're just going to probably sound quite horrible and just get into your playing, and it's really, really important that you do something at the beginning of your practice day. Scales and arpeggios are like just fundamentals of music. It's kind of like learning how to read but not knowing your alphabet. Not the cleanest analogy, but the point is that these little blocks of practicing are kind of like the cornerstones of all the music you're going to play. So scales and arpeggios I would almost never, ever, ever, ever leave out. Keep them in there. It doesn't have to be every day, but make sure you're practicing these regularly. Technical exercises and long tones are really there to help improve your playing, finding different little areas that you're struggling with, that you find difficult, and really focusing on them and working on them. There are so many exercises out there, like really so many. So you want to always just take 1 or 2 little exercises to work on for a week and not try and do all of them. They're different from scales in that scales is more about the kind of pure form of what a scale is and how to play it. The exercises, take sometimes those scales and arpeggios and work them into different little exercises that really give your technique a good workout. Long tones kind of belongs to your technical work. Yes, tone is part of your technique, but I kind of think you should have your own little long tone block where you're spending time just playing long tones and developing your tone, your dynamics, your vibrato, your breathing, all the tone related stuff. Studies are really interesting little things. So for those of you who don't know, studies are these kind of like little pieces of music, sometimes not so little. Anderson, I'm looking at your 4-page study. But the point is that these little pieces of music that are very focused on a specific technical aspect. A big question that often comes up is, how are they different to pieces? Like, what is the difference between a study and a piece? Well, when you play a piece of music, your job is to serve the music as best you can. You want to make the most beautiful, expressive music that you can. On the other hand, when you play a study, the job of the study is actually to serve you and help you improve. So you don't necessarily need a study to be 100% perfect. Actually, very often, your study might not be as perfect as you might want a piece to be. Not that perfection is ever something you should aspire to, right? That's unattainable, right? We know this, right? Just checking. But the point is that studies might be a little bit more rough and a little bit less kind of performance ready, but they've taught you something and that is their job. The pieces, of course, on the other hand, are the bits that are just meant to be a huge amount of fun. They're expressive. The pieces are really there to actually feed and fuel your love of music and your passion for the instrument. And whereas your technical exercises, your scales and your studies are much more important to help you grow as a player, they're kind of like your growth tools that'll help you improve and become better, your pieces are primarily there to grow your love and your passion for the instrument. And keeping these two things in balance is really important. And this kind of brings us to that really big question that you guys have, which is, how much time should I be spending on each of these sections? Well, it depends on two things. Firstly, how much time do you have? Do you have a whole lot of time to practice, in which case you probably have a little bit more time to dig into your technical work and your studies and really grow and push your playing. But perhaps you don't have that much time. Perhaps you are busy, you're working, you're stressed out, and actually you want to spend more time feeding your love of the instrument, just enjoying it, having fun, and using it to de-stress. And depending on your bigger goals or how much time you have, you're going to adjust the ratio of these different blocks. So at the beginning of every practice week, you want to ask yourself the question, what is realistic for me to achieve this week? How much time do I have? And what do I want to do? Do I want to do more just loving and enjoying the instrument, or do I want to do more growing and pushing? And then you might have a ratio of practice blocks that looks something like this. So say you have an hour to practice every day in the week. Don't we all wish we did? You'll spend 5 minutes doing a nice warm-up. Then you might spend 10 minutes practicing some of your scales nicely. Then you might spend 10 minutes doing some nice technical exercises or some nice long tone exercises. That's up to you. Then you'll spend 15 minutes working on one of your studies, whatever study you're busy working on. You'll spend 15 minutes on a piece or maybe 2 pieces that you're busy working on. And then I love to have that last little 5-minute block for your problem play corner where you're just maybe playing around with some issues you're having, some problems you're having. So that practice diet would give you a lot more growth and you would probably progress a little bit more quickly. But if you're a normal human being that does not have that much time, then you might only have 30 minutes a day to practice, or maybe not even every day. And then you might want to spend a bit more time growing your love for the instrument, and your practice plan might look something like this. So you'd spend 5 minutes again doing a nice warm-up, and I would actually maybe do a nice long tone warm-up just to combine a little bit of technique into that warm-up already. You'd spend 5 minutes doing some kind of scale or arpeggio exercises or technical exercises, but I almost want to say, especially if you don't know your scales and arpeggios really well, rather focus on those than doing technical exercises. You might want to spend 5 minutes on some kind of an easy, short little study. And I'm going to tell you guys about a resource that we have in a moment where you can find some really nice, short little easy studies to practice. And then you want to spend the other half of your practice, so yes, 15 whole minutes on pieces that you're busy playing, just having fun with your music and repertoire. That is a nice little 30-minute practice plan that I think will still help you to grow a fair amount, but will also help you to have a little bit more fun. Practice plans are individual and they need to be individually crafted and constantly adapted based on your situation. You're going to go through times where you have more time to practice and times where you have less time, times where you want to push and improve a little bit more, and times where you need to just sit back and really grow your passion and your love. And you will see that in our practice plan template that we have created, we actually have a section in there to help you set some goals each week. Also, a little spoiler alert, we actually have a little practice journal coming out in 2023. So stay up to date for news on that. If you're on our mailing list, you will be the first to be notified about this really exciting update. But before you go, I actually want to tell you guys about a little resource that I think is really going to help you guys improve your practice. It's a resource that we started creating about 6 months ago called Let's Practice. And in this resource, we have created content with all of these different components already written out for you. So you have your scales, you have your technical exercises and long tones, you have little studies for you to practice, and even some nice pieces in repertoire. This resource is available to all of our premium members, so become a premium member on our new site and you will get access every month to this resource. And this resource is great for your kind of novice to early intermediate player. But we've actually also created some great resources for the more advanced players. So every month we put together a bunch of easy little studies. Well, they're kind of early intermediate to intermediate studies, so they're not even that easy, but short and sweet little studies that really help to fill that box of studies for those players who are not yet ready to deal with those like really challenging, difficult Anderson and Curler studies. And additionally, we actually have a whole page of recommended resources, materials, studies, scales, technical exercises for each month, which we put together for you guys and send out. So if you need some extra help in your practicing and you really want to know what you need to be practicing so that you can just focus on the how and have fun with it, then I recommend become a premium member today and get access to not only this month's resource, but actually all of the resources from the past 6 months as well. Happy practicing as always, and see you guys next time.